The first time my fiancé called me barren, he did it with my wedding dress hanging 6 feet behind him. Ethan stood in the church fellowship hall, in front of our pastor, both families, my bridesmaids, his groomsmen, and the seamstress who had just finished pinning my veil, and said, "I can't marry a woman who lied to my family about being unable to have children." His mother, Marla, placed a folder on the table beside my dress bag like it was evidence in a trial. Then she slid one page toward me and said, "If you have any self-respect left, you'll sign this. Give up the wedding money and apologize for deceiving my son." I looked at Ethan, the man I was supposed to marry in 7 days. I said, "Say that again." He did, louder. By the time the pastor closed his Bible and asked everyone to take a breath, Ethan still had no idea the record number on that medical report did not exist. He had no idea the appointment request had been sent from his own laptop. And he definitely had no idea that the pregnant woman he planned to marry next had been promised my wedding money. Why would he build a lie that depended on me being too ashamed to check the paper? Our wedding was not huge, but it was everything I had saved for. I paid the first venue deposit because Ethan said his bonus was delayed. I paid the photographer because Marla said family photos mattered more than flowers. I covered most of the rehearsal dinner because Ethan told me his dad's truck needed repairs and he was embarrassed to ask. Every time I paid, Ethan acted grateful. "We're almost there," he would say. "After the wedding, I'll make it up to you." I believed him. That is the part that still embarrasses me. He did not just use my money. He used the version of me that hated conflict. He knew I would cover problems quietly. He knew I would not embarrass him in front of people. He knew his mother already thought I was too independent, too career-focused, too slow to talk about children. Marla had been planting that seed for months. At our engagement dinner, she asked whether I planned to wait too long to give Ethan a family. When I laughed because I thought she was joking, she said, "Men like him need a real home, not just a pretty wife." Ethan heard her. He squeezed my hand under the table and whispered, "Ignore her." He was not ignoring her. He was letting her build the language he would need later. The first real warning came 2 weeks before the rehearsal, when Ethan suddenly wanted copies of every wedding contract. Venue, caterer, photographer, dress balance, cake deposit. He said he wanted to be organized in case something went wrong. I asked, "What could go wrong?" He smiled too fast. "Normal wedding stuff." Then he asked whether the venue deposit was refundable if I canceled. "Not if we canceled." If I canceled. I laughed because I did not know what else to do. "Why would I cancel my own wedding?" He shrugged. People panic before big commitments. 3 days later, Marla posted in the family wedding group chat, "A marriage built on secrets will collapse. The innocent party should not be punished for trusting too much." My cousin asked, "Is everything okay?" Marla replied, "Pray for Ethan." That was when people started texting me like they knew something about me. One of his cousins wrote, "I hope you come clean before you embarrass him at the altar." I showed Ethan. He glanced at my phone and said, "Maybe people are picking up on your mood." My mood? You've been tense. I had been tense, because everyone around me had started acting like I was guilty of something nobody had named yet. Before I tell you what happened next, remember to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe if you enjoy real stories about betrayal, family drama, and people finally standing up for themselves. The rehearsal was supposed to be simple. We were going to walk through the ceremony, adjust the music, practice the processional, and then go to dinner. My dress was at the church because the seamstress wanted to check the bustle under the same lighting where photos would be taken. When I arrived, Marla was already there with Ethan, his father, and Pastor Reed. A folder sat on the table. Ethan would not look at me. I asked, "What is this?" Marla gave me that soft, wounded expression people use when they are enjoying their own cruelty. "We were hoping you would tell the truth before we had to," she said. Then everyone else started arriving. My parents, Maya, my maid of honor, Ethan's brother, Paul, his groomsmen, my bridesmaids. The pastor suggested we step into his office, but Marla said, "No, this concerns both families." Ethan stood up and performed heartbreak. He said he had received medical information proving I had known for months that I could not have children. He said I hid it because I wanted the wedding, the ring, and access to his family's stability. He said he felt violated. My mother gasped. My father said, "What medical information?" Marla opened the folder and held up a paper with a clinic logo at the top. Ridgeview Reproductive Center. I had never been there. Then she placed another paper on the table. It said I had withheld important medical information before marriage, accepted that the wedding cancellation was my fault, agreed not to request reimbursement for any wedding expenses, and would issue a written apology to both families. It already had a line for my signature. That was when I understood what they wanted. They did not just want out of the wedding. They wanted my money, my silence, and a confession they could use forever. I picked up the medical report. My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed calm. "Where did you get this?" I asked. Ethan said, "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Act like the paperwork is the issue." I looked at the report number printed under the date. 74,009. I had never seen it before, but I also knew that if I just said, "This is fake," they would call it denial. So I took a picture of the report and sent it to Maya, who was standing near the coffee urn with her face pale. Then I put the paper down and said, "I'm not signing anything in this room." Marla's expression sharpened. "You don't get to walk away from accountability." I looked at the dress bag hanging behind the table. "You don't get to rush me through a signature beside my wedding dress." For the first time, a few people looked at the dress, then at the apology paper, then at Ethan. Ethan stepped closer and lowered his voice. "Don't make this uglier than it has to be," I said. "You already did." I left with Maya, my parents, and my dress. By the time we reached my apartment, the group chat had exploded. Marla posted, "Today our family learned that love without honesty is manipulation. Please give Ethan space. He has been deceived in a way no man should be before marriage." His aunt wrote, "She should return every dollar." Another cousin wrote, "Women like that always cry victim after they're caught." Then Ethan texted me privately, "Don't embarrass yourself fighting this. Sign the statement tomorrow and I'll make sure Mom stops posting." That sentence told me Marla's post was not grief. It was leverage. Maya stayed with me that night. My parents sat at my kitchen table, furious and quiet. My father wanted to drive to Ethan's house. My mother kept asking, "Why not just leave you? Why do all this?" Maya was the one who stayed practical. "Send me the report photo," she said. "Let's check the clinic." Ridgeview had a document verification email on its website. We sent the report and asked only whether the document number and doctor name matched a valid record issued by their office. The reply came the next morning at 8:16. The report number did not match their format. The doctor listed had not worked there in over 2 years. The clinic had not issued that document. I read the email 3 times. A fake medical report is not a misunderstanding. It is a plan. Then Maya reminded me that Ethan had used our shared wedding laptop to print programs and seating charts. His email was still logged in because all the vendor invoices had been going through that computer. Some people will say I should not have opened it. Maybe. But he had already put a fake medical report in front of a pastor and both families and asked me to sign away thousands of dollars and my reputation. I was done protecting his privacy while he used mine as a weapon. I searched my own name in his inbox. An email appeared from 6 weeks earlier. It was an appointment request Ethan had sent to a women's clinic using my full name. In the message, he wrote that I wanted fertility paperwork prepared for private family review, and that he would handle communication because I was emotionally sensitive. The clinic replied that they could not send anything through him without my authorization. Ethan answered, "Understood. Cancel the request." 2 days later, a PDF appeared in his downloads. Final. Medical. Letter. PDF. The fake Ridgeview report. But the reason came from Ethan's old iPad. The one we had used for the wedding playlist. His messages were still synced to it. He had left it in a box with table numbers at my apartment. I turned it on and found Claire. At first, I expected cheating. I was not ready for planning. "Claire, did she sign yet?" "Ethan. Tomorrow. Mom scared her pretty good." Claire. And the money? Ethan. If she signs the blame paper, she can't ask for reimbursement without looking guilty. Claire. I can't believe you got them to think she's infertile. Ethan. It's cleaner than telling them I got you pregnant before the wedding. I stopped reading because I needed to breathe. My mother started crying, but it was not a helpless cry. It was the angry kind. I printed only what mattered. The clinic verification email, the appointment request from Ethan's account, and the messages where he admitted the fake infertility story was cleaner than telling the truth about Claire. Then I called the venue. The contract was in my name. The first deposit came from my card. The second payment came from my savings. Ethan had paid for part of the bar package, and nothing else. I told the venue not to accept any cancellation or transfer request from Ethan or Marla. I asked them to pause all final charges until I came in personally. I called the photographer and caterer and did the same thing. By lunch, Ethan texted again. Mom says we can meet at the church at 5. Bring your parents. Sign the statement and we can end this respectfully. Respectfully. I wrote back, I'll be there. He replied, good. Don't make a scene. When we arrived at the church that evening, Marla had invited more witnesses. Ethan's parents. Mine, Paul. 2 groomsmen. Maya, Pastor Reed. Ethan's aunt. The seamstress was there too, probably because Marla wanted her to remove the dress from the church storage room and watch me apologize. My dress was still in the bag, hanging behind the same table, the same folder, the same pen. Marla had placed a printed copy of her group chat post next to the statement like she was proud of it. Ethan looked relieved when he saw me. He thought quiet meant surrender. Marla started first. We're not here to attack you. We're here to give you the chance to do the decent thing. I looked at Pastor Reed. Are we allowed to speak clearly here? He nodded. Yes. I sat down and said, good. Then I want Ethan to explain where he got the medical report. Ethan sighed. We already went over this. No, I said. You accused me. You did not explain. Marla snapped. Stop twisting this. I picked up the fake report. This is the document you used to say I'm infertile, right? Ethan said yes. And this is the document your mother used to demand I sign away the wedding money and apologize publicly? Marla said, because you lied. I placed the first printout on the table. The clinic says this report number does not match their system. The doctor listed does not work there. They did not issue this document. The room went still. Ethan reached for the paper, but my father put his hand on it first. Pastor Reed leaned forward. This is from the clinic? Yes, I said. Their verification office. Marla recovered first. Clinics make mistakes. I said. They did not disclose medical information. They verified that your document is not theirs. That was the first hit. The small lie was gone. Then I placed the second printout down. This is the appointment request Ethan sent 6 weeks ago using my full name. The clinic refused to communicate through him because I never authorized it. He canceled the request. 2 days later, the fake PDF appeared in his files. Paul looked at Ethan. What is that? Ethan said. She's leaving out context. What context? Paul asked. Ethan looked at Marla. That look did more damage than my words could have. Marla's face went gray. I said, the context is he tried to create a medical paper trail under my name. When the real clinic would not cooperate, a fake document appeared. One of Ethan's groomsmen stepped back from the table. Dude, tell me that's not real. Ethan did not answer. That was the second hit. The frame-up was visible. Marla tried one last time. This still doesn't change the fact that she has been cold, secretive, and obsessed with money. Look how fast she brought receipts. She planned this. There it was. The last version of the smear. I was not framed. I was not publicly humiliated with a fake infertility report. I was cold and money-obsessed because I had proof. I turned to Pastor Reed. May I read one message? He looked disturbed now. Go ahead. I placed the third printout on the table. Claire. Did she sign yet? Ethan. Tomorrow. Mom scared her pretty good. Marla made a sound like she had been slapped. My mother stood. You knew? Marla said, I didn't know about. I pointed to the line. Mom scared her pretty good. Ethan said, That's private. I almost laughed. He had used a fake medical report to accuse me of being infertile in front of a pastor, but his texts were private. I read the next line. If she signs the blame paper, she can't ask for reimbursement without looking guilty. Ethan's aunt lowered her eyes. My father said, You tried to steal from my daughter. Ethan said, It wasn't like that. I read the final line. It's cleaner than telling them I got you pregnant before the wedding. That was the third hit. The room broke. Maya whispered, Claire is pregnant? Paul said, You got someone pregnant? Pastor Reed closed his Bible, this time with finality. There will be no wedding here. Ethan turned to him. Pastor, wait. No, Pastor Reed said. Not under this roof, not after this. Then my phone rang. I had texted Claire earlier that afternoon with 4 screenshots and 1 sentence. You should know what he was using your pregnancy for. I did not plan for her to call during the meeting. But when her name appeared, Ethan saw it. Don't answer that, he said. I answered and put it on speaker. Claire's voice came through shaky. Ethan, did you tell your family she was infertile so you wouldn't have to admit I'm pregnant? No one moved. Ethan said, Claire, this isn't the time. She said, You told me she canceled the wedding and you were only trying to recover your money. You said once she signed, you could use the deposit for our apartment. That was the 4th hit. He had lied to me, to his family, to the church, to Claire, and to everyone who had defended him. Marla stared at Ethan like she had just realized she might not have been the mastermind. She might have been a tool. Ethan grabbed his keys, but Paul blocked the aisle. Did you use Mom? Paul asked. Ethan snapped, Move. Paul did not. My father picked up the apology statement and tore it in half. Then he tore it again and dropped the pieces on the table. You will not use my daughter's name for this, he said. Ethan looked at me like he finally understood I was not going to save him from the silence. You're ruining my life over a mistake, he said. I said, You made a fake medical report. I panicked. You planned. He looked around for someone to disagree. No one did. The collapse did not happen all at once. It happened in ugly little pieces, which felt more fitting because every piece was something he had built himself. Marla deleted her group chat post that night. Then she posted, Yesterday's statements were made based on information we now understand was not accurate. My cousin replied, Not accurate or fake? Marla left the chat. Ethan's aunt texted me an apology that was mostly about how shocked she was. But she admitted she judged me without asking one question. 2 groomsmen backed out of supporting him. Paul called my father and apologized for what he said in the room. Claire did not move in with Ethan. I do not know what happened between them, and I stopped needing to know. The last message she sent me said, I'm sorry. I believed him too. I believed that part. The venue refunded part of the deposit to my card because the contract was mine, and the final payment had not processed. I still lost some money, but I stopped the biggest charges before Ethan or Marla could touch them. I also told every vendor in writing that no remaining credit, refund, or balance was to be transferred to Ethan. The dress was the hardest thing to handle. For 2 weeks, it hung in my spare room in the same white garment bag. Every time I walked past it, I remembered Ethan standing in front of it, while calling me Baron. Then Maya came over with coffee and said, We are not letting that thing haunt you. I sold it to a bridal resale shop. I expected to cry. I didn't. I used the money for a weekend trip with my mother. A small cabin by a lake where no one called me a liar and no one put a pen in my hand like shame was a contract. Ethan tried to contact me for weeks. First he apologized. Then he blamed stress. Then he blamed Marla. Then he blamed Claire. Then he said I owed him a private conversation because we almost got married. That last message sat unread for 3 days. Then I blocked him. People ask me if I feel like I got revenge. I don't think that is the right word. Revenge would have been trying to destroy him because I was hurt. What I did was stop participating in the lie he built to take my money and dignity at the same time. He wanted me to be too ashamed to question a fake medical report. He wanted me to be too embarrassed to defend myself in front of a pastor. He wanted me to sign a paper saying I had deceived him so he could walk away with sympathy, wedding money, and a pregnant girlfriend waiting in the background. The wedding never happened. The apology statement never got signed. The money he thought he could keep stayed with me as much as possible. And the story he tried to tell about me died in the same room where he first told it. Sometimes I still think about my dress hanging behind him while he called me barren. Back then, it felt like proof of everything I was about to lose. Now it reminds me of the moment I stopped being afraid of losing a life that was already built on a lie. He did not ruin my future. He exposed the person I was about to marry before I made the mistake of promising him the rest of it. Thanks for watching. If you were in my position, what would you have done? Leave your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and subscribe for more stories like this.